Today, we're going to dive into how one of the biggest names in the car world, Jaguar Land Rover, was brought to a dead stop. And not because of a problem on the factory floor, but because of a digital one. So just try to picture it. You've got this incredible high-tech factory. We're talking almost 1,000 brand new luxury cars rolling off the line every single day. It's a symphony of modern engineering. So what in the world could be strong enough to just switch it all off? A massive equipment failure? The entire supply chain just falling apart? No, the answer wasn't something you could see or touch. It wasn't in the hardware at all. It was deep in the software. The real culprit was just a broken line of code, and it was enough to paralyze an entire global company. So let's start by looking at what that actually looked like on the ground. All right, first up, let's get into the immediate devastating impact of this digital attack. What really happens when a manufacturing giant like this just goes dark? Look, this wasn't some minor glitch. Starting August 31st, Jaguar Land Rover literally did not make a single car. And this was a worldwide shutdown. We're talking factories going silent not just in the UK, but all the way out in Slovakia, Brazil, and India. You know, this attack was also part of a really troubling pattern that was happening, coming right after similar hits on other huge UK companies like Marks & Spencer and the Co-op. And this is where the sheer financial scale of this thing just becomes, well, terrifyingly clear. Yeah, those other attacks were expensive, but JLR was losing £50 million every single week. The total damage from those other big attacks was just a fraction of what JLR was losing on a weekly basis. The amount of money just pouring out the door was absolutely staggering. So you've got to be asking, how could one single attack cause so much damage so fast? Well, the answer is kind of weird. It's a paradox. The very system that JLR built for ultimate efficiency turned out to be its greatest weakness. You see, about 2 years before the attack, JLR kicked off this massive £800 million project to completely rebuild its tech from the ground up. The idea was to bring everything into the modern age with this super powerful new SAP software system. This was meant to be the digital backbone for the whole company, controlling how parts move, how suppliers connect, even how you customize your own car. And right here, this is the paradox at the heart of this whole story. To get that peak efficiency, JLR's strategy was to connect everything to everything. Their smart factories were wired directly into their supplier systems. I mean, on paper, it sounds brilliant, right? But what it actually created was the ultimate weak spot. In an older system, you could maybe shut down one problem area. Here, when one part of this interconnected web failed, the whole thing went down with it. The result? Total lockdown. The hackers didn't just mess things up or slow them down. They blocked access to literally everything. We're talking the systems that run the production lines, the ones that process customer orders, the ones that handle payments. Even basic communications were totally shut down. For weeks, the company, all its employees, and its partners were just stuck in limbo. But this crisis, it didn't just stop at the factory gates. The shutdown sent a massive shockwave through the entire UK economy. And believe me, the numbers are just jaw-dropping. £17.9 billion, that's what JLR adds to the UK economy every single year. I mean, to put that into perspective, this one company makes up over 0.5% of the whole country's GDP. This is not just another car company, it's a pillar of the economy. And if we zoom in to the local level, the impact is even more intense. In the West Midlands, which is home to JLR's main plants, the company makes up an incredible 5% of the entire regional economy. So when JLR grinds to a halt, the whole region feels it, big time. And of course, behind all these huge numbers are people. Over 233,000 jobs in the UK depend on JLR. That's 33,000 people working directly for the company, plus another 200,000 people working for hundreds of other businesses in the supply chain. The ripple effects were just brutal. Suppliers, many of them small, family-run businesses, were suddenly staring at a mountain of unpaid invoices and canceled orders. The banks got spooked and started refusing to lend money. The situation got so dire that the UK government actually had to step in and guarantee a massive £1.5 billion loan just to stop the whole supply chain from completely collapsing. So, after all that, what can we possibly learn from this mess? Well, one of the biggest lessons actually comes from a place you might not expect to look, the fine print of an insurance policy. Yeah, in what has to be a truly shocking twist, it seems that JLR didn't have active cybersecurity insurance to cover this kind of disaster. And what that means is the company had no financial safety net. It had to eat that entire multi-million-pound loss itself, which just made an already catastrophic situation that much worse. So all of this leads to the most important question, right? How do you stop this from ever happening again? Well, the answer is all about building a digital fortress, and here's the playbook for how to do it. Experts have laid out a pretty clear game plan. First up, you adopt what's called a zero-trust approach. That basically means you assume you're already compromised. You trust nothing by default, and you verify every single request to get on your network. Second, you have to drill for disaster. Run cyber attack simulations just like you'd run a fire drill. Third, you audit your partners, because your security is only ever as strong as your weakest link. And finally, you secure the humans. Strong access controls and constant training are absolutely key. At the end of the day, what the JLR attack really proves is that the very idea of manufacturing has fundamentally changed. In this super connected world we live in, lines of code are every bit as critical as the nuts, bolts, and engines. The strength of a Range Rover isn't just in its steel chassis anymore, it's in the security of its digital backbone. And it leaves every single industry with a really critical question. Are your greatest strengths also your most dangerous weaknesses?